Raw and instant games. The General Store on 24 in Lewis.
Bob Harig.
Hi, Bob.
Hey, guys. How are you today?
Hey, good morning. It's Bill and Jessica, Power 1017. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Appreciate you guys having me.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you so much for checking in. Of course, you're a golf writer, longtime writer for ESPN, the Tampa Bay Times. You covered Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson for years. Of course, you got a book out. It's called Golf's Most Fascinating Rivalry, Tiger and Phil. And I got to be honest, if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I'd be like a big golf
Interested
fan.
in golf?
But, it's Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. They're the two big wigs. They're the stars here, right?
Yeah, and they're kind of past the time when they should be. And yet they still resonate. We saw that at the Masters where Tiger sort of unbelievably came back and played after, all those horrific injuries that he suffered in that car crash. I don't think too many people saw that coming.
Yeah.
And then Phil was a story even not being there because he hadn't missed the Masters since 1994. He's the reigning PGA Championship winner. He's supposed to defend his title in a few weeks. And we don't even know if he will because he's been on the sidelines due to a controversy over a rival golf league, which has really kind of, caught everybody off guard here.
Well,
so these two guys who really had, should have been in the background, kind of remain in the forefront.
Well, for people who don't know, and because a lot of our listeners might just say, "Oh, we follow Tiger Woods." Can you kind of give us kind of the background of how you got involved in writing about these guys? And have you always been like a big golf guy? Do you play yourself? Give us kind of your background.
Yeah, I do play golf. Not very well.
Same here.
I live in Florida, so I have no excuses. I can play year-round, and it still doesn't seem to help. But, no, I've the majority of my career, I'm now at SI.com, but I've been a golf writer. I've basically covered their entire careers. I've been fortunate enough to be at every major championship these guys won, so that's 21, 15 for Tiger and 6 for Phil, all the way back to Tiger's first Masters in 97. And I actually, in this book, go back to the beginnings of their careers when they were kids, and
Wow.
And they were both incredible as junior players. They were famous when they were teenagers, basically, in the golf world. They were that good, that well known. They both were highly recruited to go to college. Phil won a PGA Tour event as an amateur when he was a junior at Arizona State. That has not happened since. That was 1991. It's very hard for an amateur to win a pro event, but Phil did it. Tiger never even came close to that, actually. So it's interesting how they were both incredible as kids. They obviously came onto the tour with a lot of fanfare. They kind of went head-to-head there for a while in the 2000s. Tiger always had the better record, but Phil was a bit of a nemesis.
Right.
And then I think the idea for the book came after Tiger won the Masters in 2019. That was such a riveting win. It was an occurrence that transcended sport, frankly. The world was tuned in. After all Tiger had been through with his back problems, for him to win on that stage was incredible.
Oh, absolutely.
And it kind of got me to thinking that, this could be the end for these guys. At that time, Phil was approaching 50. He's now 51. And I thought, it'd be kind of neat to highlight their careers and the fact that, even though the records might not say it so much, the fact is they were the best of the best for 25 years.
No, look, I got to be honest. Look,
they went at each other.
I got to be honest. When somebody says, "Can you name 3 golfers?" I'm like, "Nope. I can name 2: Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson." You know what I mean? So, that's they are golf. They are pro golf. Of course, we're talking to SI.com golf writer Bob Harig, longtime writer for ESPN, the Tampa Bay Times. You got a new book out. It's called Tiger and Phil: Golf's Most Fascinating Rivalry. How did you feel when you heard that Tiger was coming back this year and he was going to be playing at the Masters? How was what was your first reaction? To this incredible news?
I think my first reaction was, holy you know what.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
us
Absolutely.
too.
Absolutely. You get excited, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it was really cool to think of. I was stunned. I just didn't think it was going to happen. I saw him play with his son at that exhibition in December where they rode a golf cart. And even with the cart, Tiger wasn't getting around that well.
Right.
And then I saw him again in February. He's the host of his own tournament on tour called the Genesis Invitational, and he did a news conference there. This was in mid-February. Now, listen, Tiger was probably trying to downplay expectations, but he gave no indication that he was close. You know, and he talked about the struggles. You could tell he was still having some difficulty walking. You know, and so you're sitting there going, okay, if he's still a little, you know, a little sheepish about walking, you know, just normally, how's he going to walk Augusta National, which, by the way, is probably the hardest walk in all of golf. It's just incredibly hilly. It's a long golf course. There's nothing flat. For someone in his position with you know, multiple injuries to his foot and ankle and lower leg, even walking downhill is a problem. You know, it hurts.
Yeah.
And you could tell it. You could tell by the end of the round that he was in a good bit of pain. And then he told us, you know, one of the things he had to do was take ice baths. And on that Saturday, it was about 55 degrees. It was cold all day. And the idea of him having to get into an ice bath after that didn't seem too appealing. But that's what he had to do to get the swelling down and then have to ramp back up the next day. Now, it sounds as if he's going to have, you know, the more time that goes on, the more that he can strengthen the leg, the more it heals. And, you know, so there's the opportunity for him to play some. I don't think it'll be often, but I think every time he's out there, it's going to be an unbelievable experience, and the interest will be off the charts.
All is right in the world when Tiger Woods is playing golf.
Back.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's all I got to say. I hear in the book that, you know, you're getting a lot of attention about some insider stuff with Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, the rivalry. Anything juicy you can, you know, tell us about before we go out and buy the book?
Well, I think there's a fun little story about 2002 which kind of shows a little bit of their angst between them. And Tiger at that point had 8 majors, and he finished second at the PGA Championship to a guy named Rich Beam, who got hot that summer, and his win at the PGA was his last win. Tiger birdied the last 4 holes to make it interesting, and Beam had to make a bogey on the last hole to win by 1, which he did. Tiger finished second. Afterward, Tiger's in the scoring area watching this play out on a TV monitor, and he stood up after Beam holed out, and he kind of did a fist pump, and he said, yes. And Fred Funk, who he was playing with, said, Tiger, what are you doing? You know, he just made that putt to win. And Tiger said, doesn't matter. He goes, that's Rich Beam 1, Phil Mickelson 0. And he walked out. And the point was that at the time, Phil hadn't won a major. He still had 0. Tiger had 8.
Wow.
And Phil kind of loved the idea, relished the idea that Phil was having a hard time.
Yeah.
Which kind of shows the respect he had for Phil's game, because he knew he was good enough to be winning them.
That's funny. That's funny. Wow. Well, and real quick, for people who don't know, you know, what's going on with Phil Mickelson, can you kind of give us like a quick, you know, quick rundown of like why he hasn't been playing again for people who don't really follow?
Sure. He was highly critical of the PGA Tour earlier this year. There's been a rival golf league brewing for the last year and a half. A lot of the details started to emerge in the fall. A guy named Greg Norman, who's a 2-time major winner, is the commissioner. They're backed by the Saudi Public Investment Fund, so the money's coming from the Saudi Arabian government. It's huge money. And Phil was basically, you know, in concert with these guys trying to set up this tour. And, you know, the PGA Tour didn't take kindly to that, because obviously they were looking to siphon off some players to play in their events. And Phil said some derogatory things about the tour. He said some derogatory things about Saudi. It caused them to lose a lot of sponsors. And again, this is all within a year of him winning the PGA Championship last year to become the oldest major champion in golf history. And it was very, very sudden change of events. And he basically, 2 months ago now, issued a statement in which he kind of half-heartedly apologized that said he was going to be stepping away. He didn't play the Masters for the first time since 1994, three-time Masters winner, and we're not even sure if he's going to play the PGA next month, which, he's the defending champion. So all of this sort of goodwill and glory that he attained by winning last year has sort of been overshadowed by all this negativity and controversy here in the last couple of months.
Golf's most fascinating rivalry, Tiger and Phil. Bob Harig, the author. You can pick it up everywhere. Thank you so much for checking in. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
We know the past 2 years have been stressful.